Hello friends, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and welcome to another While You're Reforging, or I guess it's just kind of an impromptu show. Now that I think about it, it's not really a While You're Reforging. Anyway, we're hanging out and building some more Horus Heresy stuff. I went ahead and decided to make a thumbnail that's more reflective of the vibe I'm going for. So we're just gonna chill, hang out. If you have any conversation you want to have, drop it in the dialogue box, and I'll read it out loud, and as long as it's relevant / respectful, happy to do that. So I will be going on a bender, building a whole bunch of that little marine boys as I get through the slog that is this Horus Heresy box. I don't know about you guys. Typically when I buy models for myself, or I mean like just in general how I do my hobby, is I will buy like a kit or two here and there. Box sets are always so daunting for me because there's just so much plastic sitting there, you know? Mr. Gray Brown and good vibes, yes. Good vibes are fuel for the soul. Where's the... Is there not like an instruction manual for just like dumpy normal Marines? Oh no, here it is, okay. Okay, it's just contained a pretty tame number of pages, if I do say so. So let's grab these boys. So this is our, looks like these are the bits and bobs sprues. So like we got gun holsters, bayonets we can throw on the bottom of bolters, hero specialty stuff, so like power fist, that kind of thing. So we'll get to those. This seems to be the bulk. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, cool. So there's 2 sprues each. So I'm just gonna divvy them out and to make them piles to make it easier for my brain. Mr. Gray Brown, what are you working on, my good friend? I had a weird moment there where I was like, Mr. Gray Brown, and then in my brain was like, you're assuming gender, and I was like, wait a minute, Mister's in the name. I think I'm good. Okay, so are these all identical? So really there's just a 5-man sprue that they give you multiples of, which I'm not opposed to. Certainly explains why there's such a small rule, or not rule, instruction manual. Hey Doug, greetings from Wurzburg, Germany. I'm sorry, that was okay, I'm so sorry. All my stuff fell apart right on my feet. Germany, currently having so much fun building my slow grow Warcry League at my local game store. That's so awesome. I am happy for you. I wish Warcry was bigger, more popular. I will be honest. Okay. So my plan now is to simply build 2 squads with just bolters, right? So we're gonna grab 2 of these. I need 2 of these. The rest of that's over there. I decided yesterday that I am simply going to focus on building a few, 20 out of the 40 that we get, until I know what I want for the others. I can already tell I'm gonna like this sprue a lot more, just because they actually put all the stuff next to each other. That Contemptor Dread sprue was ridiculous. I was searching high heaven for it. 5 and 4, okay. Oh snap. Yeah, they really are truly all next to each other. Cookie Slayer, sweet another chill lo-fi stream to end my shift. Yeah! Gray Brown, and we had a long talk with friends about hobby stuff. We're running a kill team camp with Tau versus Gene Stealer Cult versus Thousand Suns. That sounds awesome. Okay, we got those. 32 and 33. And a 34. Okay, I like this setup. Where it's like, it's all right next to each other. It's a very simplified Marine kit. I like it. And a head. Ah. And then I will need a backpack 46. Those 2-piece shoulder pads look like a pain. We'll see. That's all I got. It's just we'll see. I don't know. Okay, just making sure I didn't miss anything. Let's get to this boy. And if I like this kind of setup where I just kind of bust out all the pieces, then I'm happy to do so later on with all of them. Back to back to back to back to back. I went out and had a lovely coffee date with my wife this morning. I was trying to fill her in on like the changes that the new General's Handbook makes. I was like, well, you know, last season they focused a lot on monsters, and now they're switching the focus to infantry. And she's like, oh, well, why are people mad about that? I was like, oh, babe. They're mad about that because they're nerds, and if it wasn't a focus on infantry, they'd be mad at whatever it was a focus on. And we left. Warren Lynch, hey Doug, what do you think of this for a discussion? What would things be like if the Primarchs who turned into Chaos stayed loyal, and the loyal Primarchs went to Chaos? I think let me think on that. So the thing that makes the loyalist ones so important, quite frankly, is their patience. Like, Gilliman is not given to flights of fancy, nor is Ferrus Manus, nor is Ferrus Manus was. He got himself killed. Anyway, but all these other things, Dorn is who I was trying to say, not Ferrus. But you have all these characters that are very level-headed. What's it? Salamander's guy, he is as well. And so if they fell to Chaos, I think Chaos would have won, because I think they have the patience. That a lot of the times with these Black Library stories, you'll notice things really do go the traitor's way pretty explicitly, without question. The problem is halfway through their win, they get disorganized because everyone gets distracted by trying to do like Chaos rituals or whatever Slaanesh is doing that we don't talk about. All those kinds of things. And so it's interesting. I think if Gilliman and Dorn fell to Chaos, it would have been a much more implacable siege. And the more impetuous side, meaning Angron, maybe the Death Guard, would maybe fold like paper a little bit, because they would expend all of their force up front and not have a whole lot of strength to defend Terra. That is my prediction based on what we know about them. I mean, and there are still a few wild cards, like I don't know enough about Blood Angels to know how that would have affected Sanguinius. Oh my gosh, yes. I love it. I love it because it has old Marine feel with new marine quality in terms of like actual sculpting. Wasn't a big fan of the Primaris. Okay, and to answer someone's question back then, are they a pain? No, the two-piece shoulder pad thing went together really easily. This whole kit. It's like they learned their lesson about how to make really, really good Marines and then immediately started making Primaris, and you're like, why? Oh man, yeah, I like him. Came out really simply. Okay, well that was, oh my god, that is so much night and day easier than the other other models in this set. Oh, also, what gods do you think they would have gone towards? I don't know, man. Because I feel like they don't have the same... quite the same weaknesses as the trader ones. So, like, I could definitely see... let's see. Let me get through my head. Blood Angels, Khorne. I think there'd be a few more Chaos Undivided. I'm trying to go through my mental roster of the Loyalists, because honestly, I don't pay attention enough to them to like have the full, you know, the Rolodex. I don't know. Okay, worst part about the two-piece shoulder pads is they only have one part connecting them to the sprue, so when you clip it, they do tend to launch at you like a cricket jumping around. Heads up. I don't know what you should do with that information, but it's going to happen to you. Does it leave a very visible joint line between the two pieces? Oh yeah, let me see. I don't think so. I'm using plastic glue, and I think when that cures, it's going to be perfect. I really don't see a visible line. The trick is, and I'm not sure if I can really get it with this camera, is the seam, the way it runs along those bumps, is the perfectly straight line, and then it gives you a dip, and the other side interlocks with it and over it. So that one, and there's two bumps where they lock together, and the bumps on this piece cover up some of the seams here. It really does make them look seamless. This one's not quite because I haven't cleaned the flash off the edge yet, but I think this will look great combined with the plastic glue that's going to set and make that solid, and then also the layer of primer that's going to go over to kind of, you know, it's such a minute, tiny thing. I think it'll just seal right up. But that's what I got. That's my opinion so far. I've only built my first one, so maybe if I get 50 in, I'm going to be like, this sucks. I've not read the rules for Horus Heresy. Is it much different from 40k? What? Yes and no. So Horus Heresy is built off of the rule set for 40k 7th edition. So hop into your way back machines. And this is stuff when you have like scatter dice and vehicles have facings. They've added a few new rules, like what they call reactions and stuff like that. Those are just minor additions. I mean, they have a game effects, of course, but the core rules engine is pretty similar to old school 40k. There are no, if you're newer to the hobby, things like stratagems for 40k now, they don't exist. Are you interested? Because if you are, like, I'm happy to explain how like army making and forging and all that stuff works. I just don't know it's always hard because you don't know what somebody's like level of interest / how much they already know. And the corpus of knowledge is quite deep. But essentially, we go back to using a very classic force organization chart where you have to bring 1 hero and 2 troops. Once you fill those requirements, you can do a whole bunch of other things, but those are the base. And then from there, just set these guys over to the side here. Okay, cool. Sorry, I was just making sure I got everything. I thought I moved something out of the way. Are you playing Lunar Wolves? I'm not English, so kind of confused. Yes, I am playing Lunar Wolves. Yep. Yes, that is a reference to an old commercial for peanut butter in America. Choosey moms choose Jif. But yes, I am playing Lunar Wolves. I realize there's some social limitations to using inside jokes like that. I say inside meaning the 300 million people in America, but you know what I mean. So W starting to continue. Yeah, the rules are somewhat similar to the old school 40k. You have your very basic force organization, and then depending on how what special rules you want to take, your army can change to meet those requirements. So for example, I have my collection of models. Let's say I wanted to build an army that reflected the veterans of my force. Okay, so I'm gonna build my Lunar Wolves, and when I go to choose what kind of army I want, I'm gonna choose Pride of the Legion. So that's called a Right of War, and it gives you access to Terminators as troops. And there's also Rights of War that give you access to certain fast attack units as troops, or jump pack guys, or unlocks extra vehicle slots. And so it's essentially like having one collection of an army from AOS, and then you choose an allegiance, and that allegiance will dictate, your battle line or your special rules or that kind of thing. It's just kind of framed a little bit differently. And the reason why that's cool is because it means you can build one force, keep expanding and buying different things, and you'll always be able to play Lunar Wolves. It's just maybe in this particular engagement they are dispatching a Terminator heavy force, and another one it might be a fast attack, and you can just kind of build around like that. Which I actually like quite a bit. I actually like it more than the sub-faction system we have right now in AOS, because it just feels more like one collection with parts that can go in any direction, whereas AOS is like, you painted these guys to be Draftfoot. How come they're using a different War Clan kind of rules? And it's like, well, I mean, the paint scheme doesn't technically matter from a game sense, but it's cool to have stuff that actually fits, So instead of the kind of army, the sub-faction, if you will, tied to a paint scheme, now they are tied more towards what units you have access to and stuff like that. You can have Termies as mandatory troops. I decided to go for Iron Warriors. They can use some artillery, has non-mandatory troop only. Still need 2 regular troop choices. I let a friend borrow the book because he was giving a demo, So I'd have to check it out. It's the Pride of the Legion Rite of War, so it might be non-mandatory, so I would still have to take 2 troops. But the reason I'm doing it is because this box comes with 40 Marines, 10 Cataphracti. You know what I mean? Like, I can more than easily make 2 troop units. But yes, I was just kind of giving a broad explanation of how it all works. In fact, upon reflection, I'm pretty sure you're right. I'm pretty sure it's non-mandatory for Pride of the Legion. But hey, no one's perfect, right? I'm going to start with Pride of the Legion, and then I want to build a fast attack one because all of the battle scenes we get from the first few Horus Heresy books concerning the Lunar Wolves, like they have scenes of like Aximan coming in with his jetpack and Abaddon in there with his Termes. I want a fast attack thing so I can kind of create those. This is the force of Aximan leading guys and jump jetting in and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, basically just kind of pick an army type or something that fits what you're kind of picturing lore-wise, and then you just kind of go from there. Yeah, I'm splitting a box with a friend, so we will have 20 Marines each. Should be fine. Exactly, yep. And that's one thing I can tell you that's really, really nice, and I hope you get excited about this as I was. When you open the box, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but the bags that have bases in them are 1 hero, 20 Marines, 5 Cataphracti Terminators, like in each bag. And then there's no base for the tank, and there's a loose base somewhere in there for the Contemptor, so whoever wants that. But it was really, really nice of them to actually distribute the box in a way that is like so easy to split between 2 people. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So I think it's perfect to split. It was just one of those little tiny things, those details to like the user experience. I was like, thank you. I genuinely appreciate this. Thank you for not making me sit here and count out all these things. Splitting Dominion. Yes, exactly. Dominion, and then I also had whatever, was it Indomitus? Is that the name of the box, or the 40k one? Like, I split it with a buddy. He wanted the Necron part before I realized I didn't really care for Marines, and I kind of wish I had taken the Necron half. But anyway, I was splitting it with him, and we had to like sit there and go page by page of the instruction guide and be like, okay, so this one picture at the end of the build instructions for warriors said they go on this size base. So let's count out how many warriors we have, get all those bases. And you had to like reverse engineer it based on the instructions of finished models. It's like, this is such a freaking pain. And then twice after that, I got text like, hey man, have you built those guys yet? Do you have any extra bases? And I was like, no, I haven't touched them. Well, it looks like I'm missing a few. Son of a gun. Luckily at the time I was playing Maggotkin, and so I already had a bunch of like whatever the size for Primaris is. They're on the same one as Blade Kings. It's like, fine, just take them, go away. Just finished The Last Emperor Protects. Been re-listening to the books myself while Horus Heresy hype is building. Can't wait for my box this weekend. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for listening. Let me ask you this, Joe, since you are a listener. Do you have any feedback for us? We didn't really know what we were doing. We just wanted to talk about Heresy and also thought we could record it. But like, we're just chatting about the books. Is there anything you would like to see on the show? Obviously, it'll change a little bit when we move away from just talking about the books, but we thought it was important to start with the first 4 simply because it is, I think, they do a great job of introducing the conflict for folks who are new. So that was certainly the idea. But after that, we'll go into like, I think our first series is just going to be like, you know, today we're talking about Lunar Wolves. We're going to talk all about them, why we like them, that kind of thing, and just be a little topical as well as a book review. But I'm going to level with you. Book reports, were the bane of my existence as a child. And I've somehow turned it into a career. So every once in a while, I'm like, man, I don't want to read this. I was definitely that kid who, I knew for months I had the book report coming up, refused to read it, and then the night before I was like, ah, crap. Here's an idea to talk about why Lorgar's justified. You mean for the Emperor Protects show? Oh yeah, we definitely will, because I mentioned that in episode 1 that I absolutely sympathize with the ideological reasons for the heresy, even if, at some point I say check please when tentacles start growing out of dudes' faces. Backlog is real, yeah. Wait, you can read it the night before. I was definitely that kid who was like, Old Yeller, yes, I got this. So it's a story about a dog. His name is Yeller. He happens to be advanced in his age. And then, just kind of like riff it. Be like, healthcare in America. It's a complicated subject. How do we end the lives of others with dignity and respect? And, just kind of like... all the kids are interested, but the teacher's like, this kid's so full of crap. What does it mean to age? To shuffle off this mortal coil? Like, Doug, you talked for 10 minutes about Old Yeller, but you haven't mentioned a single plot point. I know. It's the power of the book. I always like book club style shows. Interested in how you go for more general discussions. Yeah, it's still going to be largely based in the books. So I know we want to talk about, for example, my favorite battle of the Heresy is the Betrayal at Calth. I do have the Forge World, the big Uber books, and so basically the only way the show will change is we'll cite our sources, multiple books. Here's First Heretic and all these kinds of things, and then we'll start talking about word bearers and that kind of thing. So we're gonna have a mix of talking about various stories that happen within the heresy, as well as just info dumps about each faction. Each legion is its own faction. They're all doing stuff for their own reasons. Briss didn't want to sit in right. But yes, the book club stuff is good. I never want to be... I had bad experiences with book clubs when I was younger, just because there's always that guy in the group, and you know who I'm talking about, who just needs you to know that he's smarter than you. Like, he knows more. I never want to be that guy. My only worry about book club stuff is just I never want to be the guy who you smug little turd. Nobody likes that guy. The best battle in the Horus Heresy is Fall. Perturbo gets owned by a non-Primark. I totes agree with that. That is legitimate. That's a real reason to love him. Because that's the one where apologies, there's a lot of names between Age of Sigmar locations and Horus Heresy. Fall is the one where what is it? Imperial Fists, is it? And he creates like the moving defense fortress that like Perturbo just cannot even. Or am I thinking of a different battle? And I appreciated that scene regardless if it's the one you're talking about or not, just because I like the idea. One, like you said, a Space Marine beating a Primarch in anything sounds awesome, but also the idea of like a moving defense network is cool. Do you think GW will release all the Primarchs in 40k over the next 2 years, or just keep people thinking they will? Warren, they already exist, man. What are you talking about? Oh, in 40k. I'm sorry. I was like, Primarch's already a thing. I have no idea. I don't understand what... I mean, it's easy to say, like, well, they go wherever the money is, but there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to manufacturing, design, and production. I don't know. No, you're right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I also am okay with the idea of like not every Chaos Army having a Primarch, but like if you're what is it, Iron Warriors? What's that guy got going on? You know what I mean? Like when you look at Angron, he has art for these really cool, outrageous mutations and all these crazy things, and Fulgrim's a snake boob thing and all that stuff. Lorgar still looks like an angry bald man, and then you have like, what is his name? Perturbo. Yeah, just kind of looking sour and glum, and you're like, well, that's not an exciting model. I want a God of War, not someone who looks like they're waiting for a bus, which is how I tend to think he generally ends up looking. I'm gonna grab this first guy. Let's see if we can throw like a cool Dealio on him. There's like so many little bits on this deal. You know, they have this like what looks like a chain weapon bit to go on the front of the weapon, in front of the rifle, but there's not a picture showing exactly how it sits on there, and I can't quite figure it out. Like that? No. It just doesn't look right. I mean, it's one I can always add later, so I'm not super worried about it, but it's just kind of weird that they didn't put a good picture there for me. Joe, as a fellow Wordbearers fan, I'll await Chaos support and the Angron Lorgar buddy cop battle. Okay, let's see. We got him done. Now let's move on to 789. Okay, here we go. Perturbo is probably just being glum, sitting on a throne somewhere. Yeah. What's he doing? Chaos helps those who help themselves, man. Get out there. Go conquer something. I loved learning about him because he got frustrated about like being used for like guard duty and all these boring things. Like he wanted to be out earning glories and stuff. So he's pouting about that, and then What has he done since he became free of the Imperium's demands on his time? He's just chilling. Who would your money be on if it was purely hand-to-hand combat, Space Marines versus Stormcast? I think that question requires some ground rules that are hard to define, because it's like, what's stronger, gene therapy, like not therapy, what am I trying to say? When you engineer, like genetic modifications, there we go. Or lightning magic. It's like, well, we're talking apples and oranges here. I don't know. From what we see in the stories, well, actually, here's an official answer. Okay, you ready? The official answer is whoever's book it is, they win. So if it's like a Stormcast book that has a short story about them fighting Space Marines, of course the Stormcast are going to win. And vice versa, in a Space Marines book, they would beat the Stormcast. So that's the actual answer, because that's how Games Workshop writes everything. As far as honest opinions, I think the ability to orbital strike stuff from space is a pretty big one-up that the Space Marines have access to. It kind of seems, I dare say, a bit OP. Someone explained battle tomes to me in my favorite way of just, somebody was asking a question, how come this army, and I don't remember which one it was, seems absolutely unstoppable in their book, but on the table they're like the weakest thing ever. Glass Cannon Army, I think it might have been Gitz, I don't remember which faction it was. And someone gave an answer that I have always loved, and they said, a battle tome is propaganda. Like, it's what that faction would say about themselves to justify everything and make themselves seem awesome, when in actuality they're probably losers just like everybody else. And I was like, I kind of dig that. Like, I'm here for it. Whenever I read, a battle tome for any faction, I want you to tell me why these guys kick ass. I don't want like an actual assessment of their skills in comparison, because what are they gonna say? Like, these guys suck on ice. They can't take a punch to save their lives. Like, no, they're gonna be like, no. Dark Eldar, snorting cocaine, smoking weed every day, crush, getting that pain and torture. Like, and here's why it's okay. Oh, thanks, PSA poster, which is basically battle tomes are. So I like that. Battle tomes are propaganda. They're gonna tell you the same thing. This faction's unbeatable, and you'd be an idiot not to play them. Copy paste. Battletome Marathi, never done anything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, what is it? Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. The world's a mess, and I just need to rule it. And then you're like, yeah, you know what? The world is a mess, Marathi. Did Magnus do anything wrong? Well, that depends on who you're asking. I always love those online debates, because I tend to frustrate people. I'm just like, did Magnus do anything wrong? You know what? The world's a complicated place. There is no yes or no. Or it's both. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, come on. No. It's part of the story is that everything is really freaking complicated. In Marathi's case, she's probably like, man, Sigmar neglected this city. What they need is some civil authority, and I'm here to provide. And cut to just like endless screaming and suffering in the blood pits and stuff. Like, the Khan shall return. You know, one of the things I am very excited for when it comes to the lore series we're working on is being enlightened about Jakadi Khan, because it is a Space Marine Legion that I never, ever have ever expressed interest in. And I think it's because when I got into the game, the way that they were first explained to me was by someone who has about as much grace and finesse as a trash compactor. And the way he pitched it made it seem like, oh, this is Games Workshop's token Asianic type of army. Like, because they do have the Mongoloid theme, and that's like actual from Mongolia, that wasn't a slur or anything. But they have those kinds of themes, and I was like, oh, okay. So it was framed as sort of like a stupid thing that's on the side, and so I didn't understand it. Now, of course, I'm smart enough socially to be like, yeah, this guy's a dick, and I assume there's more to it than that, but it's never been articulated. Does that make sense? I know this guy is not cool and that he's wrong, but I don't know what's right. So this is my operating understanding right now. It's pretty much me. Which basically has ended up being what most of like the 2020s have been, is just, that doesn't sound right, but no one else is talking about it, so I don't know what to think. In AOS, has Sigmar lost his hammer? I knew it, I threw it at someone and lost it, but I'm not sure if it's been found. Yes, it has been found. Galmaraz is the legendary weapon in question, and it is wielded by the Celestant Prime. In the Age of Chaos, Sigmar thought he was fighting Archaon, and so he threw his hammer at him, which... why? But it turns out it wasn't Archaon, it was actually a mirage created by Tzeentch. Hammer flies into a sort of like a warp portal, MacGuffin this, MacGuffin that, and it ends up in Chaman. So, the opening acts of the Realm Gate Wars, he has a mission: go reclaim Galmaraz. Once Galmaraz is in hand, he puts it next to the Celestant Prime, who exists but hasn't been awoken yet, and the sheer power of Galmaraz turns him on, and he boots up and goes kick some tail. Long way of answering yes. And if you want to use it too, Celestant Prime. I think part of it is that's kind of their way of also solidifying the idea that Sigmar won't be in the game as a model. Like, he has given the instrument of war to somebody else, his champion, and the Celestant Prime is Sigmar's fury in the realms, not so much him. He's like, actually guys, I did a lot of work in the Age of Myth and I do not feel like doing it over again, so I'm gonna have my buddy here fight for me. I'm gonna focus on building up civilization and watching The Walking Dead or something. Oh, Cody, thank you so much, buddy. Jakadi Khan and the Scars are the greatest chapter. I paid to say that. Fun fact, a neckbeard blasted me because I played them and I'm white. He thought he was silly. So, Wait, I'm trying to understand that story, Cody. So you play them, and a guy makes fun of you because you're playing a faction that has like Eastern influence. Like Panos, you know what I mean? So glad to catch your build streams live. Oh, thank you so much, Carol. We are just chilling and zenning. Yeah, clarify that. Why was he making fun of you? Because, I mean, what? It's hard to be that dumb. I know what you mean. I have stories from when I was in college, and where I went to school, there was a particular plethora, we'll say, of homeschool folks, and I have no disparaging things to say about homeschooling. I don't know a dang thing about education. What I know is that there were some people in the class that when they would open their mouths and they would have some backwoods, because this was like deep Missouri territory, you know, a thing like that sounds like it was ripped straight from a sermon in like the 1800s, and you just got to stand there and be like, bro, you're living in a different world, man. I know that you got everything you know your dad taught you, but I'm here to say that set you back a bit. And you just have to marvel. Basically called me out and said that I shouldn't play them because I'm not Asian, and they can't be my favorite heroes because I'm not Mongolian. Cookie Slayer, was he even Asian? Oh, no, I don't think so. I think he just thinks that people need to actually identify with what they're playing, is my understanding. I know what you mean. I didn't say anything, but I did witness in San Antonio, because I was just visiting, so I popped into a local game store, and I witnessed someone, two friends were talking about what armies they wanted to do, and one of them said, I was thinking about doing Raven Guard, and his buddy was, one of them, this is relevant for the story, was African American, and his buddy was like, why? There's no black people in that. And it's like, what? It makes you like, everything, the gears stopped, and everyone in the whole store looked at them and was like, he can do whatever he wants. He could do whatever he wants. Insert facepalm. Being offended for others is such an idiotic mentality. Yes. I'm not 8 foot tall, hulking green mass of rage, but no one tells me not to play orcs. But wouldn't it be more fun to play orcs if you were? I mean, admittedly. That's fair. But see, okay. So here's my thing, okay? With this is like the logic, it falls apart if you just put the smallest iota of energy behind it. Like, you get that same thing when you talk to people at 40K and those folks who are very much vehemently against female Space Marines. Now, this conversation isn't about female Space Marines, but the thing is, when people say like, well, women should just go play Sisters of Battle, it's like, we're not talking about like, no one's advocating that we limit our hobby choices based upon what we physically reflect as. Like, that's not the point of the conversation. Wish I could say I made that story up. Yeah, you know, it takes all kinds to make a community. Unfortunately, it doesn't take very many brain cells, and that's where a lot of communities fall apart. I don't see enough gingers in 40k. Guess I can't play. Well, good news for you is there's a whole faction of them in AOS. Go grab yourself some Fire Slayers. Maybe that's the GW model. Is like, listen, we realize there's a plethora of morons out there who seem to think this, so why don't we make armies for every kind of person? That way, even our worst customers, i.e. the people who think that, can point people in a direction. Gingers aren't allowed. Yes, in the grim darkness of the far future, there are no gingers. Gatekeeping is such a strange mentality to me. If you're interested in something, don't you want to share it with more people? So, Alphonse is great. I don't know you, but here's the problem with that logic. Because you're right. It's flawless, except what people find great and how they express that greatness gets real weird. Like we just talked about, of like, I'm sure that guy did not think that he was gatekeeping. He thinks, as many people in the comments of my videos do, that they're giving a helpful suggestion, and you're like, bruh, I don't know how to tell you that that's wrong. Like, if I have to explain to you why I don't need to be Asian to enjoy this, themed army of plastic soldiers, if I have to explain it, you'll never understand it. You know, it's one of those tricky life lessons like that. If I have to explain it, you are never going to understand it in the first place. There's loads of gingers and space wolves. Oh, Warren coming in here with true facts. Please, we're doing a 40k discussion about exclusion. There's no room for actual information here, buddy. You leave that at the door. Like, you can't enjoy Hero because you don't look like them. I find Sisters of Battle heroic. I'm not a lady. You know, Cody, I really appreciated that comment, and for me personally, as Doug Griggs, it opened up a whole bunch of super funny jokes making fun of people who can't handle the trans community, but 2+ Tough can't handle that. It was more a joke about brands trying to pretend that they are supportive, but you know what I mean. Oh, this guy's wrists. So there's like, I think 5 different poses of Space Marine in this box, and for some reason, pose 1, the wrists for the weapon lined up like a frickin' dream. And on 2, these last few just didn't work. None of us are demons. That's where I will disagree. I've seen some Instagram accounts. Just kidding. Gatekeeping is a good thing. If you enter a hobby to completely change it, then you're not welcome. Nah, I disagree, because I think fundamentally it comes down to rhetoric. Gatekeeping is a term that I understand to be used to describe someone who is trying to restrict access to a hobby, which is different than someone coming into a hobby with a different perspective. So, like, gatekeeping isn't a different opinion, or maybe things can be done differently, but it is intentionally the act of trying to keep a community small because someone, whoever that someone might be, it might even be a fictional person, someone who doesn't actually exist, but some people in that community have a warped understanding. So, for example, let's do some healthy, right, gatekeeping and it is a loaded statement, but hear me out. Gatekeeping. Hey guys, when you paint miniatures, you should prime them first. This is a thing in the hobby where many people who come into this and don't know a dang thing about painting models don't understand. I, as a kid, didn't understand. You better believe I had a whole plethora of super crappy painted stuff because I was just trying to put acrylic paint over bare plastic that wasn't washed or cleaned or anything. Now, if I go to an event and someone scoffs at my paint job because it looks like the paint is just dripping off of the plastic, which it was, that would be a thing where someone's like, listen, if you want to have any measure of success in painting, you need to do this, right? They understand that there is a barrier of knowledge, and they have said, this is the path to achieve it, right? It's an instruction. It brings you into the greater painting. It is different than if someone says, we use GW paints, and if you use anything else, I'm going to kick you in the dick. Like, it's a different vibe, you know? The vibe being, one of them is an expectation that is an unfair one, i.e. we use GW paints, and the other is giving someone a blueprint for success, meaning, hey, in this hobby, you're going to get really used to priming, so you need to figure that out. Here's some super cheap primers. I think that's the difference. Like, the idea of saying gatekeeping is good, I think fundamentally misunderstands what gatekeeping is. Where it's like the term specifically is referring to an act that minimizes, misrepresents, or demeans a community. It's like you get people talking about like jokes about being triggered. Oh, this really triggered me, and they say it kind of flippantly as if to make fun of the sentiment that things can be triggering, whereas someone who has lived through trauma knows that's a loaded term. Oh, I fell behind the chat during my soapbox preaching. I apologize. But, you know, and also I just want to throw this out there because we are talking about subjects like representation and stuff like that. I want to throw it out there. Whenever anyone leaves a comment, we're going to assume positivity, and please assume positivity when I do, because that's how good communication happens. I think Rational Ginger, forgive me, is saying that protecting the thing you love from people who don't like the setting. Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess. But see, I don't think of that as being gatekeeping, though. Like, I understand what you're saying. Totally do. Like, it's not wrong to stop bad actors from coming in and trying to change things for the sake of whatever they want, right? It's not their community, it's all of ours. I totally get that. I guess when I hear gatekeeping, I think of unnecessary restrictions added onto things by certain community members to, I don't know, achieve some usually stupid and vain outcome. You're the meanest man I know. You'll love to hear it. Well, I preface it because I also named the stream, you know, or have that thumbnail of like being super chill and stuff, and I'm sure someone's gonna pop in and be like, "Whoa, what the hell? I was expecting Zen, and I got..." Fill in whatever political affiliation you think I'm a part of, chat. If someone enjoys the hobby in different ways than you, it doesn't mean you're going to ruin it for yourself. Exactly. My approach to wargaming is my same approach when I learn about new fetishes online, sexual fetishes, where it's just, is everything consensual? Everyone having fun? Cool. No more questions. I'm going to walk away now. Hey, we're playing this really obscure version of AOS with these homebrew rules, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Is everyone into it? Yes. Everyone having a good time? Yes. All right, as you were. Shoot me an email about it. Pics or it didn't happen. And that's honestly all my gaming stuff. Anything beyond that as an answer is where stuff gets hairy, right? Someone will post a list and be like, this is what we're running because we have special rules. And you'll get people who give their feedback. This is stupid, that's stupid, this is a bad choice, blah, blah, blah. Like, or you could just be like, cool, have fun. Righty-ho. Rational Ginger, I agree. It is a misused term. And there's a lot of... Holy cow, there's a heck of a storm here. Guess I'll wait before going to get the kids. Oh, you got a storm there? Oh, no. I understand. Because, like, you're right. In a factual sense, gatekeeping is neither good nor bad. It is simply the act of restricting access. But in communities, it can be given a positive or negative. It's sort of, I mean, there are just those buzzwords that every side of an argument like to use that have very different things. I was approaching it from the cultural view that gatekeeping starts with a negative connotation, which is, you're right, inaccurate. But when I find people complaining about gatekeeping, that's usually where the discussion is that it's a negative aspect. Gosh dang. You know what the difference between these Marines and the old ones is? They stand up so much taller. They don't look like they're squatting to take a dump. And it just really... I love it. Consent is important in all things, even how you enjoy games with a group. Absolutely. And you know, the nice thing about, like... stating your opinion, what you like, and then also being willing to go along with a group is that you can build that trust. So for example, I don't really like 40k, but I know if I want to get a game in, 40k has the highest likelihood of, you know, me finding an opposing opponent. Oh my god, an opponent. So I am more than happy to say, go to a game group. It's Tempest Games in Cedar Rapids, the one I was thinking of. And be like, hey guys, I love AOS and 40k, but I don't know a dang thing about 40k. Or I love AOS and also have a 40k stuff. Does anybody want to play a game of 40k and maybe the next weekend meet back up and we can play AOS? Like, you know, you can give an inch, you know, meet them halfway. I like that kind of stuff. You want to allow anyone into the Imperium? Heresy, exactly. Oh, here they are. Clippers. Let's see, that's pose 1. So, okay, here's on a practical note of what we're actually doing, hobby stuff. Here's one for you. I'm looking at this instructions. Normally when I have these build kits, I always like keep whatever page I'm working on out. However, I'm going to warn you guys, as a heads up for those of you who have ordered this set, multiple times in this booklet, they have a pose or an instruction here, and then they don't tell you that there's optional bits until the next page. So just keep an eye, because I would have built a couple of sergeants here, and now I got to build them out of something else, which I don't think will be a problem, but it's annoying that I didn't know I had that information. So, you know, keeping you abreast of what's going on. If you need AOS players, come to the Midwest. I'm in Iowa. I am the Midwest. Ich bin ein Korn. Baron Lord Superstar, how will you be building your Luna Wolves army? I'm going to start with a Pride of the Legion Rights of War, which focuses on troops and Terminators because that's what comes in the core set. I want to fill that roster out a bit, get some troop transports for all those things, including Terminators, and then I want to switch into focusing on a fast attack style army because that's just kind of a lot of the things we see. We see that a lot in the books of like Horus Axeman coming in with, you know, jet packs and that kind of thing. So that's the next stop. Okay, pose 3. In the superior Midwest state of Ohio, where I am, we have a great group. I love it. That's so cool, man. I bought the dang Horus Heresy box today like an idiot. It gives me a solid 3k points of Imperial Fists. There you go, buddy. You bought it because you need it. Not need, but like need in italics. You need it. My wife and I do that. Should be like, honey, I need this. Be like, Jess, do you need it? Or do you need it? Meaning you just really, really want it. And it's usually something super goofy, like a cat carrier she saw on Instagram or something. It's like, you know, our cat doesn't like going outside. He barely likes to cat. And he is one. Let's see. I basically have to start Heresy community in my area. Rational Ginger, what part of the Midwest are you in? You don't have to give specifics, just you can throw out a state or a capital you're near or something like that. You don't have to be like, I live at 3246 Hunsinger Way, Ames, Iowa. Hope GW will be either making Assault Marine box or Assault Marine upgrades. That's awesome. I like it. I assume, I mean, Jump Pack Marines are so, like, every Legion has them, and they feature so much in stories, I can't imagine they're not going to do that. Well, Wargamer Willie, thank you so much. Toss a coin to your streamer. Nothing better than hanging out with the best. Aw, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it. I'm in Illinois, southern part. Okay, we're not far from each other. I'm sure we can hang out with folks. Been Incorporating the box into my Thousand Suns. Nice, nice. Elrit, how you doing? Ooh. I might need to just drop the stream at some point, man. It's getting so stinking hot in my office right now. I have a southward facing window, and so like my office where I do all my recording just becomes an absolute oven. And it didn't bother me until like 2 or 3 minutes ago, and it's like, man, I know I'm overweight, but I should not be sweating just sitting still building models. I feel like this is not that kind of activity. Oh, do you ever paint pre-assembled? You mean like fully build the model, put them on the base, and then paint them? That's all I do. That is me. Sub-assemblies are for cowards. Really, I just say things like that in the hopes that Vince Vincella is somehow watching and makes his eye twitch. Doing good? I'm doing good as well. COVID is slowly leaving our house. My goodness. It's been a heck of a month. Couple months, actually. It's been a rough one. Family has been struggling with health, and then when we got all done taking care of them, we fell sick. It was just a lot. And no fatalities or anything like that. It was just routine surgeries and travel and stuff. And now with gas being so expensive, it's one of those things, stuff we're all feeling. So I'm not like lamenting. It's just, but like, man, you gotta travel 2 hours to go see family. All of a sudden, you start to like family less and less when the gas price at the pump starts going up. Sub-assemblies for the win, especially on Dreadnought. Don't mention Vince, he'll come on here just to destroy the dreams of a Tomb Kings player. There's no more delicious tears. Maybe old War Machine and Hordes players tears, but I gotta say, I'm here for it. If I could rim every margarita I have with the salty tears of a Tomb King player. Oh, what an intoxicated world we'd have. I couldn't believe Vince and Tom didn't mention your parody video. Oh, they did. They did the week it came out. Not gonna talk about it every week. I don't expect that. But I think it was the week after Warlords, I believe. I think they did. I really wish the box came with a Rhino versus a Spartan. Okay, before I answer, Rational Ginger, tell me this. Do you know if the Spartan can carry anything? Or is it a gun platform? I literally have not looked at it at all. Actually, what am I doing? Don't answer that. You don't need to answer that. I'm just being a lazy turd. Let me just see. Leads, troops. Land Raider Spartan. Vehicle capacity 26. Okay, so it does have transport. Yeah. I don't know why. For some reason, I just thought it was just a tank. But I like the fact that it can carry stuff. It's a hard box to split, because it's like whoever gets the Land Raider definitely comes away better. You know what I mean? Like, even if you give the other person the Contemptor, first of all, I don't really care for Contemptor Dreadnoughts. Super honest about that. But Spartan's a sexy tank. Death Star transport, yep. Carrying 20 tons of pure American spirit. It's just a bunch of Terminators all loaded up with guns. Leviathan is where it's at. Exactly. So my thing, I think I may have mentioned this yesterday, and apologies if I'm just repeating myself. My thing with the Contemptor Dreadnought is it's a fine unit, war scroll, data entry wise, whatever they call those things. Rules wise, I don't care, but like the old 40k Dreadnoughts and the Leviathan and the Dealio, they look like, I think it's the square nature of them that it looks like a sarcophagus has been put inside, which is essentially what a Dreadnought is, right? You get a warrior's all blown up to hell, you put him in the Dreadnought. Whereas the Contemptor, with the way he sits, it's like, what pose is this? Where is he at in this thing? And so I don't know. I don't care for it. It looks too giant soldiery. It needs to be more coffin-like. And something about the bulk and the fatter, squat nature of the Dealio and the other ones, like, it just, yeah. Tanks versus Dreads. I mean, I still like Dreads. The nice thing about a Dread is, if a Dread with a twin-link glass cannon blows up, you go, dang it. And then you look at your other one, because they're so cheap you can do that. Whereas if a Spartan tank blows up, like, huh. Well, it had 26 dudes inside, and I lost a tank and the melta-guns and all the other things. It's a much bigger emotional hit. Does anybody have any Averland Sunset? I do not. I wish. Do you know why they stopped selling that? Was it a like a quality control problem? They just couldn't stamp out any defects in the paint or something? I don't know. I bought Averland a few times and I loved every time I did. I mean, it always worked well for me, and then I went to the store to go grab some for a Imperial Fist project I did a while back. I was like, huh, I guess I can use Army Painter. The Possessed Dread is pretty high on my list. Oh, is that the Possessed Dread? I don't know if I've seen that one. You mean the Wordbearers one, where it's like half of a demon maw? Oh, man. Maybe not. If there's another one you're thinking of, let me know. But, yeah. If you haven't seen that, look up Wordbearers Dreadnought. They mentioned a few Heresy's Contemptor was meant to look human because early Mechanicum. I get it. I mean, it looks like it would require more technological finesse to make someone look like a soldier even after they're put in a sarcophagus. So I don't have a problem with it. I just don't like the way it looks. Aesthetically, for me. Like lore-wise, I get it. Liability cost. Weird GW still kept old fantasy names. Oh, like for Avalorn Sunset and stuff like that? Yes, well, you know, they're a company that thrives off their understanding of nostalgia bait. Oh, of course, now the guy's outside mowing the lawn. I think I'm going to build these 4 and then hop off. Just don't want to leave them on my table for the cat to come destroy. Marigal, I guess that's what he is. Yes. Yes, when I was moving away from my Word Bearers army I wanted to do and moving more toward Lunar Wolves, I was like, man, but I am going to be bummed about the Marigal. I do want to do that at some point. Lunar Wolves have their own cool things, for sure, but... there's always a few of those models where you're like, man, that's pretty cool. Kind of wish I had that. I have Devil in Mud somewhere. Smells rancid. Ugh. Oh. Phoenix Flames from Army Painter is a good sub. Yeah. Okay. Do I have any, like, good painters in my stream? Because I know very little about paints. So here's my question. Is there a difference in medium between Army Painter and Games Workshop? And the reason I ask is because I feel like Games Workshop paints I am able to thin down very easily without much mess and apply them very smoothly. Whereas Army Painter, I've historically had a problem of if I thin the paint down, it doesn't apply right, or it looks streaky, or it just doesn't, I don't know. It never seems to work. I mean, it works really well as a dry brush. I don't know why I'm trying to put a backpack onto his spine, but okay. Probably going to wrestle a Marigal, seeing as I play Ultramarines and we have Word players. Oh, nice! Yeah, that'll be fun. It's one of those questions that's like, Army Painter is very thick out of the bottle usually. Okay. So I just need to thin it down more, is what you're saying? And yeah, I expect the formulas to be a little bit different. You know, if they were carbon copies, I'd be like, well, that's a bit sus. But I guess it's hard to articulate. Like, the paints just, they feel like they work very differently. And that's why I typically always do Games Workshop stuff, is not that I necessarily think they're the best paints, but the way that I paint, I've always had success with them over getting into some other paint companies where it's like, it's very hit or miss. And it might just come down to like, they have to be blended differently, and I'm just not understanding that. I've also always had really, really good success with P3 paints, but finding those is a hassle anymore because the world's turned against Privateer Press. So I don't know. But I always had a good time with them. I still have, what is it? This right here is the first bottle of paint I've ever bought in my entire life, and I still got it, and it still works. Arcane Blue. Still looks sexy. The sweet spot on thinning them is smaller. See, that is well said. Let's see. Girlfriend just got her first army, started off Sylvaneth, and I have a Gloomspite Gits and Cruel Boys roster. I read up on the roster she got. She's low model count army that hits really hard. That's awesome. Hope you guys are having fun. Sylvaneth and Gits seem like a fun matchup, I think, because neither of them is like, you know, a strong answer to the other. I guess I don't know what the new Sylvaneth book is, but finding P3 paints is next to impossible, but I grabbed as much Eldritch as I could find. It's my favorite. My favorite of theirs is, it's like a charcoal black. I think that might actually be the name of it. But, where's it at? Let me see. I got it here somewhere. Aha! Iron Hull Gray. It's my favorite way to highlight black. So good. 2+, she split the Echoes of Doom, and starter box, she's got around 2,000 point army with Alariel. Nice! Gotta run. See y'all. See you, Go-Dib. That's cool. There's some great models in the Echoes of Doom set. That's cool, but why did you need one paint to start? Yeah, I went for a very bold color scheme with my Signar army in War Machine and Hordes, which was the theme is just blue. Just arcane blue as far as the eye can see. They called me crazy, but I was an innovator. Still got the old GB paints I bought when I started with Assault on Black Reach. Nice. Those are historical items now, man. Black Reach models. Can't wait for the new Gloomspite Gits, Beasts of Chaos Battle Box. Oh, is there a battle box coming out for him? I haven't heard anything. you will find that I am astoundingly out of the loop for this being my full-time job, by the way. It's mainly because my focus is, you know, making people and my wife happy rather than actually, like, being an expert. Maybe you could help a brother out and do conversion video for Beasts of Chaos into Tzeentch. That's a tough order because, well, one, it requires me to buy those things and I don't have time and or disposable income to do that unless you want to make a direct donation. But in addition, there's a lot of ways that Tzeentch can go, and it really just depends on how you want them to be. What storm host do you play? Blue. Exactly. Wanted to stop in between meetings here and thank you for your wonderful channel. Oh, thank you. Starting AOS after 15 years of 40K, and all your lore videos have been absolutely... Oh, thank you so much, buddy. That means the world to me. It's my favorite kind of feedback. That I can offer something to people who have been in the hobby for a while is very humbling because I don't know a dang thing. 3 new minis, Doombull, Bulgor, and Jabberslythe. Oh, that's right. Okay. Kind of hyped about land speeders. Saw people convert the plastic 40k one into a Proteus one. Nice. Found that you can do just about anything to scale 75 as far as thinning. So I was actually looking, Llama Juice, thank you for saying that. I was actually looking at scale 75. Is there a particular set that you recommend? Like, we just jump in and grab a bunch of their paints, or are there any colors they do exceptionally well, like metallics or something like that? It comes out very matte though. I like a matte finish personally. That's what I prefer. I don't want to see, like when I paint models and I put that final coat or protecting coat on a miniature, I want my models to be the death of light rays. Like that's how matte I want my models to be. I want no light to escape and reflect shine back at me. I want it to be more dull than flour. I want what? Just, yeah, I don't know. Flatter than some people think the earth is. All of that. Anyway, friends, I'm going to go ahead and hop off for the day just because it's getting exceptionally hot in my office now, which is why I pretty much record before noon at this point. But we have awesome videos coming up tomorrow and the next day, and Scale 75 Gold, so check those out. Thank you. And I hope that you enjoy them. And I'm going to be back on as I chip away at this, because honestly, hanging out with y'all makes building these rather monotonous Marines quite fast. So I will do that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you next time, friends. Happy wargaming to you.